Alright, so this is going to be my type update number 8. Last time I made a couple videos about ESFP and why I think that's my type, and I still think that's my type. It's gone like in and out of affirmation or validation over the last few months, but it seems to be sticking for a number of reasons, which I'll go over in this video. So the first two reasons still stand, right? That it's like a combination of the sensory processing disorder and the mood disorder that I've been diagnosed with. Mood disorders. Sensory processing disorder and mood disorder that I've been diagnosed with. I think those are essentially just potentially extroverted sensation and introverted feeling types of disorders to be diagnosed with. Not to say that everybody who has extroverted sensation or introverted feeling has some sort of diagnosis with a disorder, but I think in my case those are examples of like the unhealthy sides or potentially undeveloped sides of those functions playing out. So that's the cognitive function narrative there. There's the other narratives that also correspond to this type of ESFP, SeFi. The first being Enneagram. And I made a series of videos a while back, essentially explaining my thought process on why I thought that how the 9 Enneagram types correspond to the 8 cognitive functions. I think I definitely did get to Enneagram type 4 as introverted feeling. I don't know if I got to Enneagram type 8 as extroverted sensation. First, it's in the body triad, which is about your body and sensations and vitality. But it's also like this whole competitive, active component that people talk about with extroverted sensation specifically. And then in socionics, of course, it's called force in Gulenko's nomenclature. So it's that whole idea with sports, martial arts, all of which I was very competent at, and arguably still am to an extent, but I don't train in those things regularly like I did when I was younger. So that's Enneagram, and then type 4, artist, individualist, the introspective stuff I'm doing now with typology, as well as all the artistic stuff that I've done, I do music, theater, comedy type stuff, improv, stand-up, all artistic expressions, so individualistic, emotional expression, type 4, introverted feeling. Lastly, and I noticed this parallel today, there are these RIASEC Holland codes from vocational psychology, I guess, or occupational psychology, in which this guy, Holland, tried to make a spectrum or a grid of like people's vocational interests. And I think, and I'll probably make a video series at some point describing where I think those parallels lie between Enneagram, RIASEC, and MBTI functions. But with RIASEC specifically, I think I'm like realistic artistic, with the sports and the martial arts and the stuff being realistic interests, physical, active interests, manipulating yourself and your physical environment, with the artistic stuff being artistic for obvious reasons. That covers all the performance stuff I do, even some of the artistic, more visual artistic stuff I've done as well. But that's essentially SeFi. This is all like, SeFi, 8, Enneagram type 8, Enneagram type 4, and also Holland code realistic, Holland code artistic. This also is all corresponding as well with, because the last time I talked about this stuff, I was saying, these disorders, these are kind of the end of the story for my type. They're part of the story. It's also just like my interest during my first quarter of life, because this is still working with the quarter model, right? So first quarter, I was primarily working on basketball and all these other sports that I did to kind of complement my basketball training and playing. So that included cross country, that included track. Soccer was kind of early, and that wasn't the name of basketball, and so was neither was martial arts. They were for their own sake, but I was just an athlete. I was pretty much just a sportsy kid. I had good grades, and I think those two things are mutually exclusive. I think grades are just fluid intelligence, or IQ, really. IQ tests that people get given. Maybe there's some aptitude there if you're getting like like specific aptitude if you're talking about grades in certain classes, but if you're talking about just standardized test scores and cumulative GPA, that's arguably just like a fluid intelligence IQ metric, not necessarily indicative of, oh, this is like intelligence or NT or thinking or intuition or whatever. So I don't think that's going on. I think it's just high fluid intelligence. I don't think that's really significant compared to the sports, compared to the performing arts stuff I've done. And that was my whole first quarter focus was sports and academics, as well as far as like, anyone's focused on academics. That's your job as a student, is to be a good learner. I also, but that was the main thing. And then I had like a smattering of like these performing arts things I would do. So that would be like public speaking, acting type activities, comedic acting type stuff I would do. And then as I moved into my second quarter, that stuff's taken precedence as it would, because this is a second quarter function that I'm experiencing right now in Introverted Feeling. So essentially I'm just working on that now, but arguably the next step would be to build on or work on integrating those two functions of Extraverted Sensation and Introverted Feeling in this second quarter, using like a prescriptive typology to suggest what I should be doing going forward. But yeah, long story short, ESFP is sticking pretty well, or as well as anything, or better than anything else is stuck. And based on my activities in sports and art, and I think that's kind of fair. I think there's a bunch of other ESFPs out there, like all these people who were like artists, but before they were artists, they were like athletes or military or whatever. That's like, I think that's all SeFi stuff, as long as it's the quarter thing is playing out in terms of like they did SeFi, SE then FI. Some people do FI then SE. Those are ISFPs. I think I'm an ESFP. Yeah, that's about it. So ESFP is still sticking. I think it's essentially just a matter of seeing those three coherences between Enneagram, RIASEC, MBTI. Those are all talking about the same stuff. And in MBTI terms, I just think that's SeFi, ESFP. That's all I got. Thanks.